Right here with Jonathan Osorio. So, what's your take on the Canadians women national team? And they're competing alongside you guys at the Gold Cup, and they came home, but they definitely put out a great performance. Won a lot of fans. I know MLS was talking with you before the Cup, and you were talking about UCLA's own Jessie Fleming as the player you picked. But was there any reasoning for that? Big fan of her. Or any other players in the Canadians women's team?
Just from watching some of their games, that's the one player that stuck out to me. So.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the best players on the team. As far as their performance at the World Cup, they were doing well, and then unfortunately they didn't get the result they needed in that game. And it's too bad. It was close. They fought. Country is always proud of them.
Mm-hmm. And going forward, do you see women's football being just more important in Canada for both the young boys and girls to get involved with the game back home?
Yeah, of course. The sport is growing for both girls and boys. I think the girls has been growing really well, and the boys definitely catching up the development and as far as comparing to the rest of the world. So both programs are going in the right direction.
All right, thanks.
That was nice. It's nice to be back with the team. Good, and which is nice. Too bad, unfortunately, didn't end the way I wanted. Again, the bigger picture is it's good to be back.
What are your takeaways from a game where you guys are on top of the game for large portions, but more the chance and ends up in the back?
That's exactly it. You control the whole game. The game changed. One chance, goal. Another chance, goal. Game over.
Like you haven't missed a beat out there. I mean, you fit in quite nicely in the first game back.
Yeah, I go out there and I play. I do my best every game. For the club and country. That's all I can do.
Taking solace in the performances that you guys have before, maybe not the results you want, looking a little bit better than you have in the past few weeks.
Yeah, the performance was great today. Before we took a goal, the game was on our control. We were missing that last little bit to put the ball in the back of the net. We put one in the back of the net. This game becomes a 2 or 3 nothing game for us, and that's what happens. That's what happens in these games in this league. You don't take your chances. A guy like Ibrahimovic is gonna make you miss. But yes, it's a positive. We have to keep playing like this, but. In the end, it's not good enough unless you score goals.
Jonathan, the teams, they've sort of turned it around a little bit the last couple of games, but they've struggled with injuries, some of the guys missing to the Gold Cup, that kind of thing. Given how you guys played tonight, how do you feel about this cup going forward in the second half of the season?
Well, I think we'll be fine. We keep playing. We play like this, and then when we get all our guys back and we get to even strength, we'll be just fine. As you saw, we played this team. I think is 3rd in the West, and we played with some guys, key guys missing, and we outplayed. We outplayed them the whole game, and they know that. But you have to score goals. And that's what happened. They scored their goals at the end of the day, and it doesn't matter how we play now. When you look at it, the result is still a loss.
How are you feeling physically?
Great.
On some of these set pieces. Sure enough, they were just starting to get a little more space. We were sagging off just a little bit too much. And they were able to get a touch of momentum. Like I said, most of that came in the way of set pieces and things like that. I thought, again, we had some good possessions. I thought we could play through them at will. A lot of times we could get guys into sort of dangerous final areas, but the connection between the final pass and the cross missed most of the night. So we made a substitution to try to get Jordan on, just to get a striker, maybe a little bit more activity and presence. And I think within seconds of doing that, we give up a goal. On the goal, we talked all night about getting out to the crossers and trying to prevent them from swinging balls into the box, because it's a perfect vision of the goal that the only person who's going to get to that ball that high is Zlatan. I mean, the best thing that you can do is be in his body and try to disrupt him, but he's the only one heading the ball up in that space, and he did what he does, which is he finds kind of the only spot in the net that he can tuck it in. But we've got to prevent the cross. Maybe on the backside we could be a little bit closer to him, maybe just getting, like I said, into his body to give him more of a disruption. But that's what he does. He gets one look at the goal and he scores a goal. After that, again, we start chasing it a little bit, pushing some numbers, just trying to get some more guys in front of the goal. But as we did that, our shape changes and some of the fluid attacks that we had start to fade. But it's in a hope of trying to get more numbers in front of the goal. Then we start to get a little opened up defensively because we're committing so many guys. The second goal for me is kind of irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. It's the first goal and some of the opportunities that we were close. Markey had one early, a really good look. And some other chances that could have made the difference in us getting on top of that game.
Are you going to be happy to get this first half of the schedule over and get back to a full squad and not so much West Coast travel sort of thing?
Yeah, I am, again, for a large stretch of this game, I was not displeased with the way we played. I like the way we feel. Little things like that that make a team a little sharper or a little more focused. But I was, like I said, until they nod one in from Zlatan, and he's the only one that probably scores that, I was pretty pleased with the night. Even if it ends 0-0, it's not the worst night in the world. So, but unfortunately, they got that one, and we end up chasing it a little bit to try to get something out of it.
How did you think of his return?
It's good to have him back. It's when he plays in there, it's a little different than when Nick was in there. He and Pozuelo obviously look for each other, and they do a lot of combining and connecting and a lot of little passes. I think that helped us in possession. I think at times it slows us a little bit down in some of the final attacking actions. But I think it in the grand scheme of things, I think, again, it helped us to control the game and it helps us to unbalance them a little bit. We just need to make sure when that's happening that we don't lose the timing of the final action that's ultimately going to cause the goal-scoring scenario in front of the goal. But it's nice to have him back. I think, like always, I think he was solid. I think he had a good game.
Greg, when you come to a stadium like this on the West Coast, second game on a road trip, and you do sort of play as well as you did until that goal, what does that tell you sort of going forward?
Yeah, we have a good team. I think, like I said, we've through the course of various things, we've looked at different shapes with our group. Adding some wide players into the mix has really, I think, helped us in terms of our ability to control games, to be more dangerous on the outsides, which I think is imperative to open up the game. I think they had a really hard time trying to figure out how to defend us tonight. We just weren't able to take advantage of that. So I think a lot of good things have come from this stretch, and now still in the playoff spot. And now we need to, as far as I know, and now as we approach the second half, it's continuing to build on what I think have been some pretty strong performances and put points on the board.
Hey, Coach, Nishvi from UCLA Radio. Being a former Bruin yourself, how does it feel being back on the West Coast and playing in LA, even if it didn't come up the way you wanted to tonight?
Yeah, it's always nice coming back here. I see a lot of friends, former teammates, people that I don't get to see very often. So it's nice. It's obviously a stadium that I played in and spent a lot of time in. So it's nice to be around. The weather is always nice to visit in Southern California. So it's always a great thing. I wish we would have come away with a little something in the game. I thought, like I said, we played well for a large stretch of it, and that's ultimately the most important thing when we come is try to get the points.
Thanks.
Thanks, Greg.